Blackrock Mountain is a huge part of classic WoW. It's filled with sprawling dungeons and momentous raids that are the foundation of the endgame experience. The lore is just as big as the mountain itself, so today we're going to be focusing on its origins and the Dark Iron and Big Daddy Raggy's involvement.
Taste the flames of Sulfuron!
Our story begins 230 years before the Dark Portal was even opened. Ironforge was inhabited by the three dwarven clans, the Bronzebeard clan, the Wildhammer clan, and the Dark Iron. Modimus Anvilmar was the dwarven leader who established peace between all the clans and then he died of old age. And before his son could even be crowned, a civil war broke out between the clans to claim Ironforge. The war continued for many years until the Bronzebeard kicked the other two clans out. The Wildhammer clan went to establish Grimpatol, and the Dark Iron established a home called Tharzan, which is named after their leader, and it's located in the Red Ridge Mountains. If there's one thing the Dark Iron like to keep, it's grudges, and suddenly, Sorcerer Than Tharzan, the leader of the Dark Iron, launched an attack against the Wildhammer and the Bronzebeard. Tharzan himself led the attack on the Bronzebeard, while his wife, Modgood, a person with a horrible name, led the attack on the Wildhammer. Despite the ambush, the Dark Iron must really suck at fighting, because Modgood was killed, and Tharzan's forces were pushed all the way back to Red Ridge. With his armies in disarray, and the enemy clans at his doorstep, Tharzan got desperate. And with the help from the Council of Seven, powerful Dark Iron spellcasters, they attempted to conjure a momentous being into existence. Okay, let's see here. Chili powder? Check. Sriracha sauce? Check. The sacrifice of an innocent person? Please help me! Check. Alright, lads. Start summoning. Wait, hold on. 1 second.
Fall to your knees, mortals. Your judgment has come.
I think it's time to call off this war, huh?
Oh, shit! Oh, Lord Jesus! Oh, Jesus! Get the water! It's going down! Ah, the motherfucking bootleg fireworks shit!
So somehow, some way, the Dark Iron summoned Ragnaros the Fire Lord accidentally. The summoning of the Elemental Lord wiped out Tharzan's city in an instant and killed their king and the Council of Seven in the process. A large chunk of Red Ridge Mountains was permanently scorched, creating the Burning Steppes and the Searing Gorge we know of today. It also created the monolithic Blackrock Mountain that was formed as a byproduct of Ragnaros' birth. The Wildhammer and the Bronzebeard didn't really feel like fighting a giant fiery monstrosity, so they called off the war and became allies. The remaining Dark Iron dwarves were enslaved by Ragnaros, but they didn't really mind. In fact, they worshipped Ragnaros for saving their people and giving them a place to live. At this time, Dagran Tharzan, the previous leader's son, became the leader of the Dark Iron, but was still a servant of Ragnaros. Since the Dark Iron's old city was utterly destroyed, they needed some place to stay. Thankfully, they had Master Architect Fran Clorn Forgeright in their ranks. He's responsible for the creation of the Shadowforge City, aka Blackrock Depths. He's also the guy who made the Stonewright Dam you see in Loch Modan. That big hanging heart thing in the middle of the mountain is his tomb, where he still rests today. During the Second War, the Horde used Blackrock Mountain as a base of operations. At the time, Cho'Gall was a member of the Horde and convinced Ragnaros to let the Shadow Council, a group of Horde warlocks, reside within the spire of the mountain. Eventually, the Horde was driven out by the Alliance, but a few still lingered around the mountain, calling themselves the Dark Horde. The Dark Horde and the Dark Iron have been brawling it out to fight over control of the mountain, and the peak of their conflict with each other is in Classic. I'll be going over the Dark Horde section of Blackrock Mountain in another video. For now, let's just focus back on our dwarven friends. Shadowforge City, aka Blackrock Depths, is freaking huge. It has 20 bosses and takes around 4 to 6 hours if you want to complete the whole thing. Now, despite this dungeon being gargantuan, there is parts that don't have a lot of interesting lore and are what you'd expect. For example, who's General Angerforge? Well, he's a general, and he's very angry. So we're just going to break down some of the intriguing bits of the dungeon instead. In the detention block, there are lots of Twilight Hammer cultists that are kind of just hanging out. This makes sense because the elemental lords like Ragnaros have been corrupted by the old gods, and the Twilight Hammer are all about worshipping the old gods. So it's a match made in heaven. Reginald Windsor is a prisoner here, and his story relates more to Onyxia, but the reason why I bring him up is because he traveled to Blackrock Mountain to fight some orcs, but was ambushed by reportedly 300 dark iron dwarves, which is... Get in here! Well, it seems like a bit overkill. The point is, he's remained as a prisoner here, and Dargan Tharzan took his hammer called Iron Foe, which is actually crafted by Fran Clorin Forgeright, the guy who made Shadowforge City. Next up is Golem Lord Argolmak. He's had a lifelong obsession for immortality and has learned to transfer his spirit and body into the golems he crafts. Apparently, the Golem Lord was killed 10 years ago, but he's still alive in a robotic body, and we're asked to go kill him once more. He also shows up in one of the Warcraft comic books where Varian cuts his goddamn head off!
That's the worst thing I've ever tasted! That's some surprise.
My favorite part of the city has to be the Grim Guzzler, though. This place is the most badass bar in all of Azeroth and is probably the most memorable part of the city. The bar is owned by Plugger Spazring, who is a leper gnome warlock with his succubus named Mistress Nagmara. The duo supply the Dark Iron with copious amounts of alcohol so they can recharge and go back out and murder some more innocent people. Despite this, every character within the bar is neutral unless provoked. And we gotta provoke a few. Hurley Blackbreath is a patron that has a rare brew recipe for a quest, and you can get him pissed off by breaking a bunch of kegs like that one scene in Shrek. Ribley Screwspligot is the only goblin in the city, and he's trying to lie low after borrowing some money from his relatives and never giving it back. So, of course we need to kill him.
Give me your fucking money!
But the most important patron is Private Rocknot, who will open the door for you to delve further into the city. The ways to have him open the door is to give him a lot of ale so he'll get belligerently drunk and piss off the golem bouncer, or help Mistress Nagmara, who is in love with him, by crafting a love potion to give the Rocknot, and the two lovers will open up the door and... Oh god! Oh, I can't show that! Now, the most important part of Blackrock Depth's lore deals with its leader, Dagran Tharzan. Emperor Tharzan was preparing for yet another war, and in preparation, they kidnapped Moira Bronzebeard as a hostage. Moira is Magni Bronzebeard's only child, and the reality of the situation was, he wanted a son to take his throne, so Moira never really got the respect that she deserved. Despite this, he still loved her, and sent a band of adventurers to go rescue her from her Dark Iron captors. But while she was captive, Dagran and her got talking. The Emperor started to treat Moira as an equal. They confided with each other, and he talked about how he wanted his people to be free from the Fire Lord's grasp. Eventually, the two even got married, and Moira became pregnant. She realized perhaps the Dark Iron aren't these despicable monsters that everyone talks about. They're living, breathing beings who just want to survive and protect the people they love. Dagran was a troubled leader, forced to subjugate his kin to do despicable acts just for their survival. Of course he didn't want to be the bad guy, he just wants the Dark Iron's quality of life to be the best it can be. He is a Dark Iron, and he will make sure his people survive to his last dying breath. Let's see here. Yeah, nope, that's the last boss. Alright. Go pull him. Hey guys, check out this fancy new dress I have. It's pretty cool, still has some blood on it, but I bet I can. Don't worry, Moira. You're safe now. We'll take you home.
It for me, and I'll have it enchanted.
Moira?
And I'll have it ready for next.
Moira was devastated. She lost her husband and refused to leave. The Dark Iron were her people now, and she needed to prove herself to deserve her people's respect. Her first plan of action was getting rid of the Fire Lord's grasp on the Dark Iron. So she spread news that within the Molten Core, there was untold riches and hidden artifacts within the fiery heart of the mountain. The Hydraxian Waterlords offered their own rewards for cleansing the Molten Core, and a group of adventurers delved their way inside the raid. But that's a story for another time. Thank you for watching my video. Like it if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more content about the Blackrock Mountain in the very near future. Goodbye.